fun.
So I don't know if you saw yet. But just came in. I mean, a lot of that saw this yet. So,
Oh, wow.
it's like a free.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about this too. My buddy sent me a whole bunch of samples. This is it. That said, if there's ever an event for your school, anniversary, birthday, there's that's cool. Shapes, the whole shapes. Nice. That's really cool. Cool. So I should probably introduce you. This is
Nah.
yeah, my kung fu brother
This guy.
Brandon.
He rolled it off the streets.
Overjoyed to have you here today. You're kind of a big deal.
No.
You are kind of a big deal. You've inherited something really, really special. And it's not like you can go to Walmart and get that discount. Like you earned something really special.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, where's the camera? Okay, so there's the camera right now. One of the most impressive times that you blew my mind, several times, or there were more impressive times, was when I did my first school's grand opening downtown. And he came, dress pants, and dress shoes, it was sharp, and he did the most incredible tiger thing set that required some severe athleticism. And here he is, dress pants, dress shoes, straight games, and then your whole school, like your whole community. I'm just blown away by how cool that is.
That's just that's how I do my wardrobe. If I can't fight it, if I can't move in it, it serves no purpose.
That's funny. How many pants?
Skinny jeans, they don't work for me. No, I can't find the skinny jeans.
I used to see you at Ross, like nope,
Yeah,
nope,
blowing them out,
Okay, so yeah, you are the lineage inheritor. How does that work? What's the official title for it?
I don't know. It's funny. It's not really that. Like, there's no ceremonial thing. Maybe there should. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter to me. A lot of it was just the honor of being asked and taking over the Dot Wong Center and continuing that legacy of over 50 years of San Francisco training in the arts in the Bay Area. Myself, I've been doing it for almost 30 years, and it's just something that really kind of never really thought of coming to a head. I thought maybe one day, maybe I'll have a school and all this, but I've just enjoyed the journey so much, teaching in Sacramento and then coming out to the Bay Area, being invited by Grandmaster and his son, Jason Wong, to be a part of their school. And then, of course, I've met up with Sifu Cuddle, and then it's just, fun times from there. And then to turn around and be offered to take over and continue that legacy was just a great honor, and it allowed me to already take what was familiar and now kind of shape it into what we have today coming out of the pandemic. So that was also kind of almost a kind of not necessarily rebranding, just bringing it into the new, and I think with the Kung Fu community in general, I feel that we've all had a great sense of gratitude, just being able to survive the pandemic and getting through everything, not even so much the sickness, it's just the getting everybody back to regular life, even regular practice, thinking about their health again.
Wow. So what comes to mind when you share that is a very traditional practice, a very traditional system that's literally rooted in the heart of San Francisco. And here we are in this kind of post-pandemic world. How do you translate tradition?
That's that's always the key, because with traditional martial arts, sometimes it's not as exciting as watching something as fast and flippy as like wushu or something like that. But I'm a big dude. I'm not trying to flip, and I'm not trying to land on my head and all of that, right?
Thank you. I
know.
confirmed.
Right? Big kung fu dudes unite. All right. So, but basically, a lot of it comes down to is the traditions we teach. It's just the same thing like how we talk about, we share stories about our teachers and what we've been through. And part of that is, I think that's really where the legacy of traditional training and martial arts is, especially in the Chinese arts, is that we're storytellers, and that's really where the roots of things lie. That's where the traditionalisms lie. That's where we can kind of draw back on some of the pain and stuff that our teachers put us through, sitting in square horses for an hour, and people joke about it, like, we did it. And all these different things of people jumping on our stomachs when we were laying on the floor to condition our abs. Again, they laugh. We did it. And so drawing back on those, but then also, really kind of retelling some of these old stories that have been passed on from grandmaster to my Sifus onto us, and teaching our newer instructors and even some of our students on how to be storytellers as well. And that's how we continue legacy.
I really appreciate that perspective of martial art instructor and storyteller, because then it immediately makes me think of the form.
Yeah.
The kata, the towel move, right? I kicked this guy's ass, and then this guy tried to punch me.
Yeah.
I swung back and punched him.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, of course, when we get into martial arts, that's our first instinct, right?
Yeah.
Knock this dude out here, and this guy over here. But then, like, especially I found when you get into like Tai Chi, it tells a different story. So what you're doing is you're telling the story of, I'm not fighting this guy. This is what is happening. This is the energy that is transferred. This is how we manipulate the energy, connect, redirect, and move into. And so now and that's what really kind of reinvigorated me about Tai Chi, was the idea of energy. And of course, then that crosses over into Kung Fu and so on and so forth. So there's so many facets when you really sit and think about it. I over last summer, I took some of my instructors to Disneyland.
Okay.
And
Kung Fu, very Kung Fu,
very
training
Kung Fu.
temple, Disneyland.
And it's Zen. And people always laugh and give me crap sometimes because, oh, Sifu Disney, huh?
Well, Zen.
Yeah. And so I tell them, I go, and part of it was we were celebrating one of our instructors. They all graduated high school, and some of them we didn't get to celebrate over the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other part of it is, I always talk about, and that's one of the reasons why I go quite a bit, is because of the idea of customer service. Disney is like one of the tops in terms of customer service. Okay, then you don't get any better storytellers than Disney and Pixar right now. They know how to tell a story. They know how to pull those heartstrings. And they have this kind of model. So people ask me, they go, well, how can you teach an hour class and teach one block and one punch? And I tell them, I go, well, it's the depth of your pool that you teach from. If you're teaching from the kiddie pool, well, you're gonna need to supplement a lot of things. But if you really dive deep into it and you can tell those stories, then you got a lot.
Cheers. Did you make it for Disney? I think it would be so cool as a big caravan double family adventure.
Yeah,
Shaolin Wu-Tang take over Disney.
yeah. I take people out. It almost should be a side hustle, you know. And because even when students go to Disney, I actually I go, let me know when you go. I have treasure hunts for the kids, and I have them, and then that way what it does, and people have told me, they go, I've never seen Disneyland like that. So, you know,
Well, I haven't been since I was 5,
well, let's go.
so I'm gonna do it.
Good. I usually go at least 5 or 6 times a year.
Well, now that they're going out of business.
No, more expensive.
Is it less crowded?
Depends on when you go. A lot of it, you know, and of course, a lot of it is that's also nice is the food. You know, you get try the different foods, different things of that sort. Mm-hmm. So different options nowadays.
Okay. All right. So
Then I like to force the characters into my kung fu reality. So I make them pose in kung fu poses with me. So you know, as hard as it is in those costumes, I'm not just doing it for Mulan. You got to do it with everybody. Winnie the Pooh, get in a guard stand. Let's go. Suck it up, honey bear.
wow, that's overloaded. So question. And as the inheritor of a lineage and a very distinct, iconic lineage that has its flavor and has its structure, has its identity, what type of leeway, freedom of expression and direction do you have as an inheritor? Do you want to like keep it the same as like historical fact lineage, or are you able to integrate ideas?
I mean, for the most part, that's a great question because, you know, when you're looking at tradition, of course, in traditional kung fu, you have many different people that chime in, and you know, the tradition is gospel, and you don't fade from that. And but of course, through evolution of training and evolution of thinking, you know, it's the same thing. It's like, well, I'm just telling your story, but I'm telling it from this angle. You know, it's the same roots, it's the same different things, but maybe it's something you haven't done before. But it does give us some flexibility to kind of move in exploring different things, but we still keep with a lot of the traditions. And again, a lot of those traditions just come through, you know, the basics of teaching it.
Okay. The reason why I asked, okay, is because I might be putting my buddy in blast. He's also a Plum Blossom Federation. He's up on the swing. He integrated a lot.
Mhm.
Like one half down, just called those dances. But he would translate it to take-ins,
Mhm.
ins, and submissions
Mhm.
to try and translate it to stuff.
Yeah.
But it's already inside the tradition.
Mhm.
Maybe not applied in that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just get creative.
Oh, definitely. And you know, it's you know, God, we said it, but you know, without innovation, we die. You know, and it's the same type of thing where you know we always say like when we do motions like ride the tiger and Tai Chi like this right here, you know. And so we've adapted some of those, like again, as a basic takedown of the position, you roll outward here and move around. So that way, again, manipulating the person's inward energy to a circular energy. So it does it because we do have to adapt to, you know, different ways of how people fight. Of course, you shouldn't be getting a fight every single day, and definitely not with MMA people. You know, unless you're like maybe maybe Sifu Gus over there. His studio's right on top of Boss Ruden's school. And he always likes to tell me how they like to come out and peek at what they're doing because they hear the kung fu people just slamming on top of them. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I think there's definitely room to have more innovative thinking instead of just trying to push that square peg through the round hole sometimes. Yeah. And because, as I've always taught this that I always tell instructors, I go, there's not really a bad student, which is not there are some bad students, but it's just you haven't found the right direction to teach them yet. You haven't found the right angle, and so again through that ever evolving, thing we call martial arts, we try to find different path, different segues. And because people will always ask, well, what if this? What if that? I go, okay, we want to play the what if game, huh? Okay, let's play. Which is good because it keeps all of us on our toes.
Well, in that sense, I'm kind of glad that there's an MMA now because there's an outlet for that. It's like,
Yeah.
You want to play like that? We'll go over that.
Yeah.
So I've noticed, at least in my community, we don't get as much as people that want to roughhouse and injure our heads.
Exactly. It's funny that when someone's seeking traditional training, like we do, it's kind of a specific search too. People are really they're not looking to go out and fight. And we've had some students and we train them to fight in cages and stuff like that. And, that's fine. And as we tell everybody, I go, martial arts is so big, kung fu is so big that there are many paths, and everybody has their own paths. It's a very personal journey when someone starts training. This is really good.
Dude, you're telling me we were drinking 7-8 different teas earlier. We went through a whole bunch of food sampling away. We'd skip them like 2-3 times.
Yeah.
This, let's sit with it.
Yeah. This is almost like having dessert. Because you definitely taste some of that fruitiness to it.
All right. Yeah. That's the track.
Yeah.
And an element of the design that I think you'll like as an artist. It has the dragon character and the brush circle around it.
Mm-hmm.
But then that circle is actually a dragon.
That's what it kind of looks like. It almost kind of looks like it comes off the tail of the lobe, and then it moves around.
Yeah. So when you unwrap the cake, open up the paper, that's where you see the whole.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So then by the time you finish the cake, then that should be ready to frame.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Wow, so Chinese New Year, I imagine you guys are busy with
Yes, actually, more so than last year. Big time. And we try to accommodate as many as we can. But of course, everybody wants it always at the same time. So we try to, if we can kind of fudge things around, we try to do it. And especially in the Sunset area, we try it, especially for all the local schools. I know this is a lot of times, some line dance clubs, because they're busy, because it's more, sometimes they bump up the prices. And they'll charge more for their line dances, to kind of really take advantage of the holiday. Which now you say like that, it sounds horrible. But I've always actually gone the opposite, and usually for local schools specifically, I discount it down for them. To that way we go in and not only, because our program, when we do in line dance for school, it's not that we just go in, line dance and out. Usually we start off with a short lion dance. We'll do something where we'll talk about the history of the lion dance. We'll talk about the history of the lions, the way the look, the mirror, the horn, and the colors. And then what we'll do is we'll teach them some basic movements. We'll teach them some basic of
experience.
yeah, and so, again, it's that whole kind of, again, that Disney storytelling, and we want to just draw them in to be able to really appreciate the New Year. So then when they see the Chinese New Year on TV, or they go into restaurants or whatever, they see it with the family, oh, that's a lion dance. We saw that at, yeah, that's where you hide the knife. That's right. That's right. So, we want to give them that whole experience, and then, really kind of just bring along tradition, because otherwise, if you weren't able to come from school, you wouldn't know about that. Because people call them dragons.
Sure. Now, curious, those are sets too, correct?
Correct.
Those are forms.
Yeah. So they have set patterns, and they have specific lion dances. Usually it's always one. Our basic one is usually we get the lion, and then he wakes up, and then he goes back to sleep, shakes it off, goes looks for something to eat, finds lettuce. We throw lettuce, sometimes kick the tangerines, and then we'll drop banner, which is a pretty standard one. But they also have ones where they'll kind of do a similar one. They'll put spears up, and the lion comes out of the cave. They put the spear down. They'll wrap it with money, and it's the lion versus the snake. And so he would come around, and then later on he would eat it, and then take the money off the spear, and then put that in it, and then turn the spear around under the lion, fire it back out of the mouth. Then another kung fu guy would catch it, and then they would do kind of a two-person set with the spear and the lion. So
that's run my shaw.
Yeah. I mean, it's and there's ones I heard of where they have like a bucket, and that's usually where they put the lettuce and the orange, and sometimes they stick a sponge in there. Right? So they eat the lettuce, throw the lettuce, bam, bam, kick the oranges, boom, takes the sponge, hands it back to the guy in the back, and that's it, So I'm thinking, well, if you could do that, why can't we get a brownie shooter? And fire some brownies up the back end also.
T-shirt launcher.
Yeah, just fire the hole. I can see someone just getting taken off their feet,
Now, thank you for that. I'm just going to kind of breeze through these questions because we only have about 10 minutes left. When I had Grandmaster here,
yes,
shout out Grandmaster, and shout out Sifu David. Super stoic the whole time, bodyguard style. I loved asking him about his challenges. So who's challenged you? You were in that era. And then he was very polite, very gentle about it, very diplomatic. He said, oh yeah, I just kick them in their arms and their legs. And then they can't stand and they can't punch, and then they become my friends.
Yeah. There's a couple of stories actually I've heard with Grandmaster also, where one guy came in. I guess he was kind of challenged Grandmaster, and he wanted to spar him. And got really adamant about it. And from what I heard, the story is that guy finally just kind of fought back, threw a kick at him. And Grandmaster used to wear this big jade ring. Yeah, nice goose and right on saying he goes to the wrong spot. And the story. That's it.
Wow.
And there's one, and I remember this one when my teacher told me, because he called my teacher in Sacramento when it happened. Grandmaster was going to jury duty down in San Francisco. Two guys down there.
I'm sorry to interrupt your story.
Yeah.
That's a comic skit, by the way. Grandmaster jury.
Yeah. So he went down to jury duty, right? And two guys decided to jump him. And he said he turned around, hit one guy, the other guy, he turned around, did a back fist, a claw, and then he just went to jury duty. And he goes, I felt so bad because all I can think of during that whole time is, I hope I didn't hurt him too bad.
You told that story.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't hurt him.
Yeah.
He normally had great ribs. How about a time then?
There haven't been too many challenges, but and none that I can really think of. A lot of times because I usually, I think I diffuse or scare people. I don't know.
I just do kick-ass tiger crane forms and
Yeah.
dragons.
I mean, I've had people come up and you know, of course, they're just barking in your face and all that. And then when I look at them, I smile. Then the tone just changes, you know. And so, and then it's just body posture. Yeah, there's another Disneyland story. I was at Disneyland and we were walking to some really crowded, and I accidentally was too close to this guy and a flat tire, right? And so pissed. And you just see like stumble forward and he turns around and looks right at me and he goes, I'm sorry. And apologized to me and just kept walking.
Was my foot on the way to turn back? It's brilliant. So that happened to me once when I was in college. I was crossing the street, some guy was like, hey, you're jaywalking. He like got out of his car and he saw how big I was. You know, you mentioned Disney and walking was crowded. I just learned that over 2,000 people a year go sing the Disney franchise.
Interesting.
But apparently most of those children are found lost around the bathroom. But Disney. You sure?
Your kid might be able to handle himself.
Dude, I keep going. You check, yeah. Where's the food at?
Yeah.
You got no food?
Get your involved.
For real. My son's new kid is super weapon. He just picks up sticks and like super weapon.
Hey, that's what you'll bring him out down to our school, and all our weapons lie. He's gonna have a field day.
See, that's something that I've really appreciated about your guys' school too, is how you translate all the schools methods to children's classes. Right. And how all of the movements are storytelling, like open the window, present the pie, or the ice cream cone.
Yeah.
I really, as a father now, I'm trying to get my son to do kung fu. You have to think of creative ways.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, Sifu was a big part of that, you know, and watching him teach, and he's wonderful with kids as well. You know, same thing, you open the window and you jump, and you open the window and jump. All right, so Joy, take your ice cream. You know, oh, it's bad ice cream, dump it out. You know, what flavor's your ice cream? And then people are like, poop, why would you poop ice cream? What's wrong with you? You know, so he came up with a lot of gimmicks like that. I tend to, you know, I'll appeal to the kids, and same thing. I'll use the gruff kind of intimidating look, and then I change voices on them.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one I go to. I'll look at them like, and they'll be like,
yeah.
Make sure you go lower.
and then I yell at them for laughing.
Oh, you should really put that.
Yeah.
I remember being in China and training with my grandmaster, and he, you know, he's calm and chill and all that. Shout out to him, but when he started training us, just this rough, and then you pick up
Yeah. So because it's a 4 to 6 year old, so I mean, I've had a couple pee on that, and so I try not to do that anymore. So then I change it around, and again, it's hard because teaching kids and in general, it's almost like entertainment business, right? So like one kid, he was really into Star Wars, and so unless I told him, make sure you kick like this, back like you must, and unless you did that, he wasn't. Some of the kids back in the early, they were all into wrestling, so I had to sit there, talk like The Rock, All right, listen here, jabroni, take your leg, stick it back, turn it sideways, and then so it was just whatever is popular. The one I couldn't do is Pokemon. I didn't know how to do Pokemon.
And I think Justin, shout out Justin, I think he was doing like K-pop bands.
Yeah.
I can't cross that bridge.
We had one of our students, they had, when Pokemon first came out, it was just Pokemon. And finally I told the kids, look, I don't want Pokemon one more time in class. Of course they're all Pokemon. And so it was line dance class. So I had one in square horse here, one in square horse here. I put one drum on top of them, and I go, don't drop the drum. And then we did line dance class.
Nice. Okay. Few moments left. I have a couple questions I want to ask you still. Next question is, in the conversation of Kung Fu storytelling,
Yes.
give me a fucking story, dude. Tell me a story.
What kind of show you want? I got so many.
Like one of the fucking classic monk stories or something.
Oh,
Like Baby Bodhidharma or something.
there's this one really cool. Well, we have a couple cool stories about some of our past masters, and there was one, I believe it was Chen Chi or not, but it was very kind of along the classic lines of some of those kung fu movies, like in Fearless, where it was, challenging the master, and the master again didn't want to fight, and we have one motion in this form where we roll like this, and we start to form by going here, pressing up this way, and when my brother and I we first learned that form, it was so cool, and then the story goes is that the master at that time, he was sitting there and he was walking in the same thing, and the master at the time was holding his water pipe. And so as he attacked, the person would attack, and he would use this motion here and just bam, blew the guy completely back, launching him in. Then, of course, pushing it to modern time, when my brother and I was learning the form, my brother thought it was so cool. He's like, "Don't want to try it." Well, you never try it, So we're in the bathroom in a public place, and he goes, it's like this, and he goes, bam, and he hits the stall door, and there's a guy sitting on the crapper right there going, ah, ah. So I go, well, it works.
Okay, yeah, that's a story.
It's past and present.
Okay, I have a story.
All right.
I have a story because you had mentioned earlier about no one wants to challenge you, right? Or you had any serious challenges. So it made me think of an old story, which maybe I'll ask you about an old story, but anyway, tell me the story, it's quick. So, classic Kung Fu guy needs to revenge whatever, and so he goes to find the master. Master, teach me Kung Fu. He's like, please, won't leave. Master finally just had enough. He says, you see that tree over there? Go uproot that tree. You can uproot that tree, pull that tree out of the ground. So, why don't you just put the tree? Okay. He runs the tree. Of course. What determination? I gotta get revenge. Kung Fu story, right? Play the montage music. One day, uproots the tree, right? Knocks on the door, goes, Master, I did it. Look, the tree. I pulled it out of the ground. Teach me kung fu. Master's like, you can uproot trees, dude. Who wants to fight you? Somebody wants to fight you. Very good. So,
That's like, you know, the Choli founder, Chen Hyun, you know, after he learned from his uncle, Chen Yunwu, he went over to Li San, finally he went to Choi Fok. Choi Fok was, they said he was a scarred-headed monk at the time.
nice.
And, you know, he wanted to learn. He was like one of the, because he learned everything he could from the two other masters. And this was a guy, it's like boss level, right? And he gets there and he goes, I'm not teaching you. I'm going to teach Buddhism. All right, Chen Hyun, I'll take what I can get, I guess. So, you know, he's learning Buddhism through you know, through him, and then at night he's practicing his kung fu. You know, and he's out there and he's like old school kicking up rocks, boom, like earthbending style, right? And then I guess Choi Fok comes out and goes, oh, okay, we'll kick that one, bigger one. And he goes, good, and he kicked it. He only kicked it so far, and then finally, I guess Choi Fok goes, boom, wham, and then sawing Chen Hyun's determination and how he was training, even though he told him he wasn't going to train, he goes, all right, I'll take you. All I gotta do is go and punch rocks.
Better than kicking rocks.
Kicking rocks, yeah. Yeah, that's some deep stuff. That's like I think we had another story of one of our past masters too, where there were people there, they were doing like Chun Dunng, doing the wooden dummy, and kind of egging the Cholifat guy out and going, oh, well, you guys got wooden dummy. Why don't you come show us some of your techniques? You know? And then, you know, after again, pushing and pushing and pushing, finally the Cholifat guy goes over there and goes, wham, 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 kicks the leg, breaks off all the arms and the legs. He goes, I can't teach you anything else. And then walks away. I was like, see, that Cholifat kicks it. It's see, that's the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
He probably had dress pants also.
Wow.
And Rolex. And grease in his hair.
Dude, not by long. Props to the most gangster, most OG, always has his hair back, always has his Rolex blinking, always
man.
fly gear.
He's always on point.
Pick, fucking dude. Streets fly.
Say, and you know, that's kind of where I took, like, you know, sometimes when I go on performances, I'll just wear the, you know, silk kind of kung fu and slacks because I want to be comfortable. And then it's easier to change in and out of than a whole uniform. You know, it's like suiting. A little bit easier.
Okay, last question for you. We're of a generation. I don't even know who's older than you. Doesn't matter. But you'd mentioned training for 30 years. You were the first Tai Chi teacher of my Kung Fu brother Raphael Smith. And so you go way back. My question is, it's kind of two-part. One, what keeps you motivated? And two, what are you working
Ooh. You know, the biggest thing that keeps me motivated really, you know, partly is just making sure I keep my body functional. You know, as we tack on the years, the body sometimes doesn't want to play as well with play as well as it used to. So a lot of that is just make sure keeping mobility and flexibility. That's always my number one because I want to make sure that in later years I am fully functional. You know, and then of course you get people like Sifu Chin who's 70 and he's like, I want to do the splits. And last year he did the splits. You know, it was bugging him, and he's been, you know, he's an inspiration as well. Been training for so long, and it's him and I. We kind of throw things back at each other, so we'll work on some stuff together, and then we'll work back and forth, and it's great. And so, you know, for myself, a lot of my working the stuff I work on is I go back and I revisit old stuff because Cholita being such a form-based system, I mean, there's, I think, over this 100-something forms. So, you know, going back through those, revisiting and actually enjoying them again. Because sometimes when you learn them, like if I learn them in a seminar, it's a very quick paced type of thing. And so to revisit them and understand connection and then, you know, luckily I have a great set of instructors that also I work with and they let me try things out on them. And then of course that opens their eyes, inspires them. So it's a lot of inspiration. It's two-way. So which is always nice. Then of course, you know, sitting down, speaking with you and kind of all our you know, come from people that we can kind of nerd out with. That's always an inspiration.
Yay. What do you want to tell our people? Where do they? Where can they find you?
You can find me at In the Sunset. Where are we at? Right there. Okay, we're at 450 Terraville Street. We moved the location. We were originally at 19th and Terraville for over 40 years. We had to finally move. We moved up the street between 14th and 15th on Terraville still. And that's our new home. And so the biggest thing is drink for life. That's it. You know, you got one life. So you might as well make sure that you're functional to it and you feel comfortable in your own skin to walk in. That's the most important thing. I think I told people I go, you know what it is? It's maybe that I've gotten older or whatever, but I'm at a good place where I don't care what a lot of people are thinking. You know? And it was, I remember it hasn't always been like that. So to get to that point and just enjoy, you know, again, I think a lot of that's just gratitude. You have gratitude for the people around you, you know, people who support you, but also gratitude for the people you can help support.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I think that's always going to be the number one thing. Thank you for the amazing tea.
Good. It's fucking good, right?
Yeah, no, it's